The content of this video was originally intended as an article entitled From Shaman to Alchemist, Reclaiming Sovereignty After Satanic Cult Abuse. However, I'm being guided that this content is needed now. Trigger warning. For those of you who are survivors of sexual abuse, this video may contain upsetting or difficult content. I'll begin with a quote from People of the Lie by psychologist M. Scott Peck. To come to terms with evil in one's parentage is perhaps the most difficult and painful psychological task a human being can face. Most fail and so remain its victims. Those who fully succeed in developing the necessary searing vision are those who are able to name it. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines alchemy as a power or process that changes or transforms something in a mysterious or impressive way. The process of embracing the shadow or the repressed and hidden parts of one's own psyche, as defined and pioneered by Swiss psychologist Carl Gustav Jung, bears a striking parallel to the great work of the alchemical process. The concept of transmuting or transforming one substance or form into an entirely different one when discussing the human psyche affords the survivor of the type of severe trauma that one endures as a child born into the grip of an evil and abusive organization glimmers of hope. So how do we transform the lead of heinous trauma into the gold of self-empowerment? Embarking upon the path to find my true voice, I unwittingly embarked upon the path to answer that question. Often harrowing, sometimes dangerous, and sublimely rewarding, my mission has become to spread the light of hope to survivors. After enduring countless trials and grueling internal and external challenges, I am able to testify to the fact that not only are we capable of healing and leading fruitful and joyful lives, we are often called to be the warriors and the lantern bearers of freedom to those whose hearts have been forcibly shut down for fear of enduring future trauma, any kind of trauma. In the Lakota Native American tradition, an individual comes to Earth equipped with their very own unique heart's dreams. These dreams, essential to one's own happiness, serve also as one's medicine to offer the world. In effect, your heart provides you with a roadmap, not only to your own highest fulfillment, but to your mission on earth. And to those who might be afraid to open their hearts to this mission, for fear of feeling the pain inside, I have discovered from experience that the journey itself provides a certain healing salve that doesn't perhaps completely quell the pain of self-discovery, but simultaneously calms that ache while lighting the fire that takes no wood that the Lakota teach resides always in our hearts when we tend to it. As an invitation to embark upon this hero or heroine's journey with me, I offer you the words of the masterful author of The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, who understands the alchemical process as well as any writer I have ever encountered. He writes, "Tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself, and that no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams, because every second of that search is a second's encounter with God and with eternity." I am a shaman. I began my training 17 years ago when I encountered roadblock after roadblock as a young, fledgling singer. And I wanted to give my singing to God. I wanted to be that instrument of peace that St. Francis requested God fashion him into in his famous prayer. What is shamanism? A shaman devotes herself to becoming a constant conduit or instrument for the divine by immersing herself in a relationship with non-physical beings, such as angels, power animals, loved ones who have passed, ancestors, and other benevolent spirit helpers. I quickly found myself immersed in a passionate love affair with spirit, which ultimately saved my life. The psychologist M. Scott Peck offers us a startling and elucidating insight into his definition of evil. He states, "There really are people and institutions made up of people who respond with hatred in the presence of goodness and would destroy the good insofar as it is in their power to do so. They do this not with conscious malice, but blindly, lacking awareness of their own evil, indeed seeking to avoid any such awareness. As has been described of the devil in religious literature, they hate the light and instinctively will do anything to avoid it, including attempting to extinguish it. They will destroy the light in their own children and in all other beings subject to their power. Evil people hate the light," he states, "because it reveals themselves to themselves. They hate goodness because it reveals their badness. They hate love because it reveals their laziness. They will destroy the light, the goodness, the love, in order to avoid the pain of such self-awareness." He concludes then that evil is laziness, carried to its ultimate extraordinary extreme. He continues, "Love is the antithesis of laziness. Ordinary laziness is a passive failure to love. Some ordinarily lazy people may not lift a finger to extend themselves unless they are compelled to do so. Their being is a manifestation of non-love. Still, they are not evil. Truly evil people, on the other hand, actively rather than passively avoid extending themselves. They will take any action in their power to protect their own laziness, to preserve the integrity of their sick self. Rather than nurturing others, they will actually destroy others in this cause. If necessary, they will even kill to escape the pain of their own spiritual growth. As the integrity of their sick self is threatened by the spiritual health of those around them, they will seek by all manner of means to crush and demolish the spiritual health that may exist near them." He states, "I define evil then as the exercise of political power. That is the imposition of one's will upon others by overt or covert coercion, in order to avoid extending oneself for the purpose of nurturing spiritual growth. Ordinary laziness is non-love. Evil is anti-love." As my love relationship with the goddess, through her many faces, developed in my years of shamanic practice, so did my vision and my discernment. I developed a clairvoyance, or clear seeing, only gleaned through the infinitely challenging work of healing my own shadow, all the unprocessed material in my psyche, in the service of becoming as deeply aligned with spirit as humanly possible. As my light grew brighter and my spiritual vision grew keener, I began to have memories of repressed ritualistic rape and molestation, of being trafficked, gang raped, drugged, and poisoned. And as my odyssey of healing continued, the matrix I'd taken through trauma and cultural conditioning as reality began to crumble around me. You see, my story, though an extreme example, is sadly not a rare one. As I began researching these memories, I found that though rarely ever discussed overtly, cults, secret societies, and yes, covens exist all over this country and probably all over this world. And these sick and evil practices of binding children and even adults, sometimes drugged and against their will, to demons and evil beings for the purposes of harvesting their energy, have been institutionalized and are sadly widely practiced. You see, by sexually abusing a developing child, the evil practitioner disrupts the child's energetic field in such an innate and primal way that their normal development is thwarted and then fraught with trauma triggers. Narcissistic abusive behaviors such as gaslighting are used, as well as mind control through word cues and by other means, so that the abuser in charge can trigger painful emotional states, amnesia, and memory loss in the victim, and is also heinously the only one around which said victim may access certain psychological states innate to their own healthy psyche. Yes, these organizations also employ spells and evil witchcraft to control the minds, hearts, and energy fields of their victims. You may be wondering why this extreme example of ritualistic psychological torture may be relevant to you. In a nutshell, the matrix of mass consciousness does this to all of us in subtle ways all of the time. The masterful channeled work A Course in Miracles asserts, in truth, no one can harm a child of God. However, any person, organization, or society that attempts to convince you that you are not already one with God and perfect and lovable just the way you are, or any person or organization that attempts to indoctrinate you into the false belief that you need them or someone outside of yourself to experience all the good, true, and beautiful aspects of your divinity, that is at its root evil. That is the Antichrist that we are facing in our society now, at this moment. The Antichrist is not returning as another Hitler or Stalin or Genghis Khan. The Antichrist is here. If we define Christ consciousness as the inner recognition of the one unconditional love that unites us all, we may recognize that the Antichrist's henchmen and handmaidens are around us, and we recognize them by their demonic signatures. Those demons are ubiquitous, and until we own our own shadows, we are run by them. The demons of self-doubt, of hopelessness, the demons of depression, worthlessness, of shame, and of self-hatred. The Gnostic Gospel of Thomas states, if you bring forth what is within you will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Organizations or people, often charismatic leaders, that attempt to keep you from experiencing the divinity within your own heart, that fire that takes no wood, of which the Lakota Native Americans speak, they are actively attempting to stamp out the Christ light within each of you. And this kind of antichrist abuse ranges anywhere from an undermining and narcissistic parent or teacher to a religious or group leader who attempts to control you in any way, all the way up to the subliminal messages all around you in TV and other programming, attempting to convince you of the hopelessness of your plight as humans on this planet at this time. The unexamined life at this time in history comes at an unbelievably high price. Ultimately, the health, well-being, and immortality of our own souls. Make no mistake, the life we are all living right now is a holy war, and none of us can afford to check out. So, how do you become the alchemist in your own life? Where is the philosopher's stone that enables you to turn the lead of your own unexamined psyche and unprocessed pain into the gold of self-mastery and self-determination? That philosopher's stone is your own gorgeous human heart, ignited by the fiery medicine of your heart's dreams. My dreams, my medicine, to sing and to offer healing to a heartbroken world, beckoned to me and served as a gateway to my source, to becoming a sorceress, one so aligned with source that I was able to reclaim my own life force, authority, and self-determination. Through the sublimation process of feeling the pain of my shadow and handing it over to the divine for healing, That raw, unprocessed material became the stuff of divinity itself. And through the magical alchemy of total forgiveness of my many, many abusers, the goddess returned all of their evil back to them at my command. Shamanism and alchemy walk hand in hand, and I so hope that you will join me in this sacred dance. And so it is.